Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing now? If
We're
you
Well,
have
doing well.
fine.
We're
if,
good.
all right, if you have lights where you are, you can just if you have lights where you are, you can change to video call so we can see each other's faces. Then mute your mic, please.
Yay!
Kindly mute your mic.
And
Is
I
it
like
with
this one.
me? With me, okay?
Please
Or
mute your
with
mics.
mine?
Mute your mics.
Hmm?
All right. Good evening, everybody. So I welcome you all to this class. It's going to
Then
be for just 1 hour. So I want you all to pay attention, listen, learn. So the way we teach in Phronesis, we like to teach from the ground up. If you want to build a house, where do you normally start from? If you want to build a house, do you start from the roof? No, you can't start from the roof. You have to
You start
start.
from foundation, sir.
Yeah, you have to start from the foundation, and the strength of your foundation will determine the strength of what the house will carry. So if your foundation is weak, then your house will definitely collapse. So at Phronesis Academy, we focus on giving a strong foundation. I know some of you are expecting that maybe this first class will start talking about tools and maybe start, you know, giving you all those things, but that is really not the foundation. So we are going to start from the very, very foundation, and we are going to be giving you a very strong foundation that will aid your AI journey. So I hope you have your notes with you. I said everybody should get a note and get a note that is dedicated to the class so that anything that we say you can jot it down. Although after now there is a handout that will be given, but even though you're still supposed to have your own um, personal notes. So today this is lesson one, AI foundations. You can write it down, AI foundations. And for every class, before we start every class, anybody that is teaching, because I'm not the only one that will be teaching you. There are other people that will teach. But at the end of every class, there is what you are supposed to learn. So for this module one, when I'm done teaching you this module one, here are the things that you're supposed to learn. Number one, you're supposed to understand what artificial intelligence is in simple language, right? So if somebody walks up to you and asks you what is artificial intelligence, you shouldn't be guessing or saying what it is not, right? You should understand number two, how artificial intelligence has developed over time, because artificial intelligence did not come just last year, right? It did not even come in 2015 or 2010 or 2005. It has been there since like 1930, 1940 something, although the name artificial intelligence came to be in around 1950, which I'll be teaching you as well in this class. So at the end of this class, another thing that you're supposed to understand is what large language models are and how they work. You see, this class is more about explaining a lot of concepts. We are going to be explaining a lot of concepts that you'll be hearing. Like when you hear the word LLMs, you shouldn't be wondering what is an LLM, right? You should already know what that means. When you hear the word patterns, you should understand what patterns mean in context of artificial intelligence. So another thing that you should understand at the end of this class is the importance of AI ethics, because you see, AI is like a double-edged sword. It can be used for good and it can also be used for evil. And then we'll also discuss the future of AI, and then we are going to identify opportunities that AI creates for Africa. So let's talk about AI now. But before we talk about AI, let's talk about technology. Um, Across time, if you notice, every technological invention that has come on earth has always been to improve the way that human beings work. Take, for example, prior to now, people used to trek, right? So if you want to go somewhere, you need to you need to prepare. Just okay, let's even imagine the olden days. If you want to go somewhere, you need to start trekking from morning or and then hope to get there by evening, right? And then cars came and people did no longer have to trek, right? They now invented trains, aeroplanes, and things like that. So you see that that technology helped to save man the stress of having to trek, right? People used to farmers of the old they used to use manual ways to, let's say they want to plow their farm, you have to go there with your hoe or just find a way to help yourself. And it used to be very, very stressful. But then a time came that things like tractors were invented, right? Things like tractors and other farming equipment. And what did it do? It helped farming to become better. How about things like let's talk about there are lots. I mean, a lot of things around you that we could mention. How about things like a microphone? Imagine if you want to talk and you need to shout for people to hear you. In fact, let's even talk about things like communication. Me and you, we are communicating today. You are in different places, right? But this could not happen before because before, if you want to even send a letter, if you want to communicate with somebody in the US, you have to write a letter. Then you wait for that letter to get to, you first take it to the post office and then they will now have to put it in the ship, take it abroad. You wait like 6 months and then before the letter will get back to you. If it was an urgent case, maybe something for don't do you before the letter will come, you get. So you will notice that across humanity, we have developed a lot of we have developed a lot of technology that has helped to ease physical labor, right? Has helped to ease physical labor. But there is one gap. We felt, or let's say we didn't develop, we had a lot of technologies that could help with physical labor, but there was really no technology that was invented that could help with mental work. You get something like thinking and the rest. So scientists started asking a question that can we develop a machine that has the ability to think, to process information, to imagine, to understand logic, just like a human being would, right? A machine that is as intelligent, just like a human being is. Is that possible? And so that gave birth to what we know today as artificial intelligence, because the word artificial intelligence comes from, okay, if you talk about artificial, for something to have to be an artificial, that means there is an original, right? For example, women will know this one very well. Women have artificial lashes, they have the way of making artificial faces, artificial lipstick, artificial hair. So if we are calling it artificial, that means there is the original one, right? So when you hear the word artificial, you should just know that if you are calling it artificial intelligence, then there is a real intelligence. So if you are calling this one artificial, then what it should be doing is mimicking or trying to do the work of what the main one is doing. Because whatever is artificial is always trying to mimic the original thing. So that brings us to the first definition of artificial intelligence, which is that artificial intelligence is technology that is designed to perform tasks that would normally require human intelligence. I feel like that is a very, very simple definition, that artificial intelligence is a technology that is designed to perform tasks that will usually require human intelligence. Tasks like reasoning, tasks like imagination, tasks like thinking. Some of you have used ChatGPT to do, let's say, your project in school, and you just put in your project topic and it gave you the full project from chapter 1 to the last chapter. I know that a lot of you are guilty about it, but you people will not want to talk. But I know that for sure. And you've used it to do your assignment as well. Now, usually that assignment will take you like 3 days. Maybe you spend the first day, let's say you were using Google, like in the days that we're just using Google, you use like 3 to 4 days looking for answers, and you won't even find accurate ones. And then you piece it from here, add the, you get, before you be able to come up with that assignment. But now if they give you an assignment, all you just need to do is, maybe you are eating biscuit, as you are eating the biscuit, you just type in the prompt and then you leave it. Before you even swallow the biscuit, AI has finished arranging it for you, and then you just pick up the phone and then you download the answers to your sheet, and then you submit. You get. So what did that AI really do? It relieved you of your cognitive activity. That means that AI did something that would normally require your human intelligence to do. So never forget the definition of this, our definition of AI, the artificial intelligence is a technology that is designed to perform tasks that would normally require human intelligence. That definition is very, very, very simple. You don't even have to cram it. So let's move over to a brief history of AI. Now, AI is not new, like I said. AI is not new. For centuries, humans have always imagined creating machines that could think and reason. But the modern journey of AI began in 1950 when a British mathematician called, what was his name now? I think Alan Turing. Yes, he was the one that invented that name, artificial intelligence. And he asked a question. That mathematician asked a question. He says, "Can machines think?" That was the question that he asked, and that's very, very question became the foundation of AI research. But since then, scientists have always tried to come up with machines that try to do cognitive works just like the mind will do. Think of things like calculator, right? A calculator is just is not necessarily AI as we know, but it is an attempt to do what a human mind can do. Just imagine it will take you a long while to calculate 2 times 2 times 4 times this times that. You calculate on, but with a calculator you just do that, in few minutes, and you get your answer, right? So that calculator was one of that process of bringing forth AI, but that was AI in its very, 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 very early stages. Now, if you remember very well when smartphones came, like during the beginning, when smartphones came, you usually notice something that whenever you are typing a word, let's say you are typing like how are, then the smartphone will bring out suggestions there. You, this, that, that was AI trying to learn. That was still AI in its early stages. That was AI, in the periods of training. So for you to really, really understand AI, for you to really, really, really understand AI, I know you've often asked yourself that, how does this AI work self? Like, how is it able to think? Why is it so intelligent? There are people that have turned AI to their personal companion. As a matter of fact, before they even make a decision, even down to their marriages or something, they go and ask AI, and whatever AI says, they have this connection with AI because they believe this thing is too smart, right? I know you've asked yourself, like, how come that this machine is so smart, right? So I'm going to ask one question, and anybody can answer it. So I'm going to ask this question: can AI think, or do you think that AI thinks? Who can answer? Who can try? Do you feel like AI can think? Because it is very smart. You see the responses that I'm sure everybody has used AI in one way or the other. So do you think that AI can think just like a human being can? Who can try that?
Okay, my name is Mr. Peter Ochasha. For me, I don't think AI can think, but I think it's a collection of information that has been programmed into the system that enables it to make us feel like AI thinks, but I don't really think it thinks like human.
Okay, thank you
I
very
don't know if
much.
that explanation is deep enough. Yeah, thank you.
All right. It doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't. We are learning, so you don't have to. Don't be deep. Just drop your contribution, and that's a very, very good one. And he is correct. Again, he is correct because AI is not a human being. So the way you think, AI cannot actually think like that. But I know you've often asked yourself, so if AI does not think, now the question is, if AI does not think, so how is it able to give this very intelligent response? How come it is so smart? Now let me explain that for you. I told you that scientists came together and they asked the question. They said, how is it possible for a machine to think just like a human being and to process information just like a human being, right? So that became an obsession to build a machine that can mimic the human brain, the human mind, the human intelligence, right? So if you want to build a machine, okay, before let me lay it down now. If let's say for example, artificial hair now for the ladies, artificial hair, for them to have produced artificial hair, they first of all had to understand the real hair, right? You need to see how the real hair works for you to produce the artificial hair. Even if you want to produce an artificial river, you need to still study how the main river works for you to produce an artificial one. So it's the same thing with AI. For these scientists to understand to understand how to build AI, they first of all had to understudy how the human mind works. That means, how do we think? Have you ever asked yourself that question, that how do I even learn? How do human beings learn? Because you see, when we came to this world, all of us, there is nobody that came to this world loaded with knowledge. The simplest thing as learning how to walk. You didn't come to this world with that information. Did you know how to walk when you came to the world? No, you did not know how to walk. You didn't know how to talk. You didn't even understand any language. You didn't know nothing. Your head was totally empty. But right now you can do a lot of things. But somehow you've not really sat down to I know you feel like, yes, I read, I studied, but okay, let's say that one is to pass exams. How about things like walking? How did you learn to walk? How did you learn to do some of the basic things that you do today? Asking all these questions will help you understand AI. So I told you that these scientists, they wanted to create a machine that can act just like the human mind. So they studied the human mind to find out how do humans learn. And this is what they found out. They found out that human beings learn in two ways. Number one is pattern recognition. You may want to write this down. Number one, humans learn by pattern recognition. And number two, by repetition. Pattern recognition, that means they recognize a pattern, and then by the repetition of those patterns, that is how they learn. Now let me explain this to you. First of all, what is a pattern? Let's talk about patterns. What is a pattern? A pattern is something that repeats in a predictable way. A pattern is something that repeats in a predictable way. For example, if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, automatically your mind, the next thing that comes to your mind is 5. I didn't even have to tell you. You just think 5, right? If I say 2, 4, 6, you are not going to say 7. You will say 8, right? Because you've noticed that I'm counting this number in order of 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. If I say 5, 10, 15, the next thing that comes to your mind is 20. What did you do? You simply noticed patterns. Now, if you come out in the morning, let's say you come out in the morning, I'm going to ask anybody can answer. So let's say you come out in the morning, and then let's say the sun was shining, like the sun is really shining. Then you went back into the house, and then you came out, and all of a sudden everywhere is cloudy, and then there are lightning flashes, thunder. It's just everywhere. The weather has just changed, and everywhere is so dark. What is about to happen? Who can answer? What is about to happen?
Rain.
Good. Did you learn that in a school? You did not learn that in a school.
No, I didn't.
Good.
I didn't.
So how were you able to know that? That's because that is a pattern. You've noticed that over and over and over again, that whenever you come out and it is cloudy, right? Whenever everywhere is looking cloudy, then there is a high probability that it is about to rain. So that brings us to the next step.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So that brings us to the next step, that pattern recognition gives birth to prediction. You may want to write that down. The ability to recognize patterns, and you need to understand this for you to be able to understand how AI is able to function. So pattern recognition gives birth to prediction. Now, for those who might still be confused, let me still break it down. Now, let's look at something such as walking. How do humans beings walk? If we are walking, let me use my hand, or let me use this 2 pen to explain. So let's say you are walking now. The way we walk, just imagine that these are your legs, even though these are not your legs. So for you to walk, right, it has to be your right leg forward, then your left leg forward, right? Your right leg forward, your left leg forward. You don't walk by taking your right leg forward, then your left leg back, and right, you are going to be in one position. So the way to walk forward is by putting your right leg forward, your left leg forward, your right, and then that's how you walk, right? So as a child growing up, let's say as a baby now, as a baby, when you were starting to learn about your environment, you would usually notice that bigger human beings, because then when you were a baby, you'll be looking at your parents like bigger human beings. You will notice that bigger human beings, they are always walking on their leg and you're always crawling, right? But you will notice that when they are walking, they put their leg forward, they put this other leg forward. And then as a child, the first time you tried to walk, let's say you managed, you stood up, and then you put your leg forward. You are trying to, what were you trying to do? You were trying to repeat a pattern that you were seeing. But then the first time that you put that leg forward, your leg is not strong. You've not really mastered that art. So somehow you fell down, right? But you didn't give up. You tried it again, you fell down, but you kept trying, and then a time came that you could now walk like from here to here, then before you fall. But at least you repeated that pattern before you fell down, right? Then you will stand up again and then try to advance again. And then you became an adult, and now you walk without even constantly thinking about it. So how did you learn to walk? You learned to walk by recognizing the pattern, and then by the repetition of those patterns over and over and over again. That was how you learned how to walk. Let me give you one last example before we move on, because this is very, very important for you to understand how AI is able to process information. Now let's look at something like when we were little. When we were little, I wish I had a shoe around there. Remember when you want to wear a shoe, when you want to wear your slippers as a child, you carry the right leg and put in the left leg, like the right leg of the shoe, you wear it in your left leg, and then you carry the left leg of your shoe and wear it in the right leg. I know that most of us did that. And whenever you do that, your parents will come and then they will correct you. So that correction, what they were trying to tell you is that this is the pattern. This is not the pattern. This is the pattern. This is not the pattern. So anytime you hear it wrong, they correct you and say, no, that's the wrong pattern. This is the right pattern. And then by showing you that pattern and repeating it over and over and over again, you learn how to wear your slippers accurately. Now you are an adult. Even if it's dark and you want to wear your slippers, you don't even need light. By just using your leg, you can feel it and know that, okay, this is the right leg and this is the left leg. So how did you learn to do that? Just by recognizing patterns and recognition. So that brings us now to AI. So how is AI able to give us very, very intelligent response? The answer is pattern recognitions and repetitions. So now, let's say you ask AI. Now you must remember, first of all, that AI has access to a very large amount of data, right? AI has access to almost all the information in the world. So it has almost all the information in the world is in its database. So let's say you come now and you ask AI a question like, how can I, okay, before I go, that one is even more complicated. Let me think of a more simple example. Okay, let's say if I ask you now, if you see somebody in the morning, what way should you greet that person? Who can answer? If you see somebody in the morning, how do you greet that person? In the morning or not in the afternoon? In the morning, say you walk out and you see somebody, how should you greet that person?
Walk out and you see somebody, how should you greet that person?
You would just say good morning.
Good. Thank you very much. So
Good.
you
Thank you
were
very
able
much.
to give me that
So,
response because why? Across your stay in life, you have noticed that pattern that once it is in the morning and you meet somebody, in fact, if you hear somebody even saying good and it is in the morning, you know that the next thing that they want to say is morning. And if it is in the morning and they say, if let's say it's still in the morning and the person says good afternoon, you correct the person and say no, it's still morning. Now, for you to have given me that answer, you had to reason it out in your mind. Now let's say we now go and ask AI that same question and we say, AI, how do we greet somebody in the morning? Now, AI cannot think like you, like a human being. Like you are going to use your experience that you've had all over the years, right? And your relationship with people, how you've been doing it to answer that question. But AI has no experience. It has no consciousness. It has no feelings. It does not understand what it means to live in your real world. So if you now ask AI that same question and say, oh, AI, if I meet somebody in the morning, how should I greet that person? What will AI do? AI will go back to its database and then it will now look for it will now search its database for how people greet in the morning. So it will just check all the information that has to do with people greeting people in the morning, and then when it finds it, it will now find the patterns that are consistent, with that morning, like how the people greet. When it gives you the information, it now finds, okay, for every morning, I'm noticing that every morning human beings normally greet each other with good morning. So it will compare it, and then the pattern that it sees the most is the answer that it will now feed back to you. So it will now reply you and say, oh, when you meet somebody in the morning, the first thing to usually say is good morning. It did not give you that response because it is smart per se. It gave you that response because it took your question, it put it in its database, and then it tried to look for the patterns that are consistent with that question that you gave it, and then it fed it back to you. Now, this may still look complicating, so let me break it down a bit. Let's say you ask AI a question like, how can I build a successful tailoring business? How can I build a successful tailoring business? Now, if I ask you that question and you are not a tailor, you might be limited in your answer. But when I ask AI that question, because has AI has access to a large database of people who have been successful in their business across different industries. So when I ask AI, how can I build a successful tailoring business? What AI does is it will go back to its database, and then it will now bring out all the businesses, and including all the tailoring businesses, and then sort it out for the successful ones. Then it will now find, okay, these successful ones, now what did they do to become successful? So let's say for this one, for example, this one said I was consistent, and the other one said it was consistent. Let's say like out of 1,000, like 800 people who were successful said that they were consistent. One of the feedbacks that AI will give you is consistency. Why? Because across the patterns that it went back to look, consistency was one of those things that were consistent. Remember that I said that patterns give birth to prediction, right? So when it goes back to its database and asks that question, what it just needs to do is look for the patterns that are consistent with successful tailoring businesses. Then it will take it and then feed it back to you, and it is usually accurate to a large extent. Are we clear on that? I want to know if everybody is with me up to this point. Is there any question on this part? Because this is a very strong basis that you must understand before I can proceed. So let me know. Is there any question so far? Does anybody have a question on what I've said? Any question on that?
From my end, I think there's no question yet.
Okay. So should I assume
We're
that
being
everybody
progressive
is
right now. Thank you.
Omatsule, no question from your end? Blessing, how
No
about
question
you?
from your end.
No, there's no question.
So that means you clearly
Blessing, how
understand
about
me.
you? So that means you clearly understand me.
Yes.
All right. So
All right.
now let's move on. You can mute your mic. Mute your mic, please.
So now let's
All right. So let's move on to large language models, LLM, large language model. You should write that down, large language models. Now, what are large language models? Now, for you to understand large language models, let's break it down. One of the words there is large, and the second one there is language, and then the third one there is model. Now, what is a language? A language is, well, a way of communicating, right? Language, different, or how do I put it now? It's not necessarily a way of communicating, but a language is, okay, we have different types of languages, right? We have English, we have French, we have Igbo language, we have Yoruba language, right? They're just ways of communicating with sounds, right? And that's really what a language is. Now, what is a model? A model is a way of representing something. And now you understand, you know what large means. Large means something that is huge. So now what is a large language model? Now, a large language model is more like is more like a system, an AI system that is trained on a massive amount of text, so it can recognize language patterns and generate responses. Remember, I told you that the way that AI is able to give you intelligent response is because it has a large amount of data sets. So this large amount of data set is what is called large language models. And it is on these large language models that platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude are built on, right? Because come to think of it, if you ask, let's say if you ask ChatGPT a question, someone is trying to join. If you ask ChatGPT a question, the only way, okay, if I ask you a question, you as a human being, if I ask you a question, the response you are going to give me is going to be dependent on the knowledge that you have, right? It's going to be dependent on the knowledge that you have. And if I come and ask you a question that that knowledge is not in your mind, you becomes blank. So you now tell me, I don't know, right? So that is the case. So if I come and ask you now, let's say that you are a doctor, and then I come and meet you, and then I ask you, doctor, please, how can I fix my generator? My generator is giving me bad sound. How do I fix it? Now, you do not have that knowledge is not registered in your mind. You do not have access to that knowledge in your mind. So what you're going to usually tell me is that you do not know, which automatically tells you that not that intelligence is limited to the amount of knowledge that you have in your head. You cannot be more intelligent than what you know, right? Your intelligence ends at what you know. You cannot outsmart yourself, right? So the way that you get smarter is by storing more knowledge in your head. Now, so if you've understood this, then let's now pick up this analogy and take it to things like ChatGPT. So you go to ChatGPT and you ask it a question. The reason why it is able to give you that question, irrespective of the angle, it can answer any question from anywhere, like any angle you want to ask it, any question, Claude, any question you ask it, it can answer you. The reason why it's able to answer this question is because it has access to a large knowledge base, or a large knowledge memory. This large knowledge memory is what is called large language models. So that means that every AI that you see, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, for ChatGPT to be able to answer that, it has to be connected. It has to have a memory bank, right, that is giving it the knowledge that it is feeding to you. So this memory bank is what is called large language models, and it is on this system that platforms like ChatGPT are built on top. So don't feel like ChatGPT is just an app. No, it might be an app, but that app is connected to something, and this is what is called large language model. Or in short, LLM. So if you hear somebody talking about large language models, don't let it confuse you. Like, don't let it. It's not techie. Don't let it confuse you. Just understand that a large language model is just the database in which an AI is built on top. It's just like the memory for a particular AI. I believe that we are clear on that. So I've also explained how AI is able to think. So let's move over to AI ethics. After this class, I'm going to drop I'm going to drop the handouts. So in the handout, everything is explained detailedly. I've explained everything in detail, and also a podcast will be dropping tomorrow. The goal of the podcast is to help you understand everything that I spoke about in class. So if you come to class, you read the notes and you listen to the podcast, there is no way that you are not supposed to understand this topic that we are teaching, right? And the reason why we built it like this is because there are some people that learn faster when they are listening. There are some people that learn faster when they are reading. There are some people that learn faster when they are interacting. So we created our system in such a way that we have all this in place, so that anyhow you can, anyone that is good for you is the one you use so far as you learn. And then on Friday evening, which is tomorrow, or Saturday morning, the assignment will come out, and then just take your time, do the assignment, and good. So let's move over to AI ethics. before we talk about ethics, let's talk about power. Now, let me ask a question. Is power a good thing or a bad thing? This question is to the class. Is power a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, let me ask it like this. Is a gun a good thing or a bad thing? Who can try?
Gun is a good thing, sir.
Okay. Another person?
Gun is a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Another person?
Okay, another person.
The gun is actually a good thing.
Okay. Who else wants
Okay.
to try?
Who else wants to try?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, like you've said, a gun is a good thing. But if you ask me, I will tell you that a gun is neither good nor bad. It
It's bad.
depends, it becomes good, it becomes a good thing or a bad thing depending on the person that is holding it.
Everything.
If you see a policeman holding a gun, please mute your mics, please. If you see a policeman holding a gun, you will not be scared. I mean, you will be less troubled. But let's say that you are coming back from, let's say you are coming back from a journey, and in the middle of the road, you see people on bikes coming with guns, dressed in this thing, in army uniform, just on bikes, driving rough. Tell me that you will not be scared, because the first thing that will come to your mind is maybe it's Boko Haram. You get? So a gun is neither a good. It's a neutral thing. It all depends. Please mute your mics, please. Please mute your mic. Okay, so like I was saying, a gun is neither a good thing nor a bad thing. It depends on who is holding it. Who is holding it determines whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. Then let's talk about like I said, power. So in the same way, I asked about power and then I narrowed it down to a gun. So if a policeman holds a gun, it becomes a good thing. If an armed robber holds a gun, then that gun becomes a bad thing. That means that tools bend depending on the user. In that same way, AI can do the same thing. You see the way you can use AI to do great stuff, to build great apps. The same way you can use AI to build an app that can save people's life, another person can still stay and use that AI to build an app that will destroy people. The same tool, but in the hands of the wrong person, it can become a very dangerous tool. As a matter of fact, I think 1 month ago or so, Claude released a new version. I can't remember whether it was one of the Claude versions that was released, and then they had to take it back. Do you know why? They said that they found some flaws in that particular model, and that people could use it to do a lot of bad things. So immediately they had to take it off and then go back to work on it to block all those loopholes to ensure that people do not use it to target other people. That's how dangerous AI can be. So it is very, very important that in this AI age, that the people who control the biggest portions in this AI, like the people who will be owning the data and the rest, should be people who have good morals in them. So it's not just about using AI, it's about putting AI in the hands of people and then teaching them how to use it properly. So it is very, very important that the same way we have rules in a city, there are also rules that are guiding the use of AI. Because like I said, it is a good tool, and at the same time, it can be a very dangerous tool. Imagine a city without laws. That city is going to be chaotic, or a busy road without a traffic. You can be sure that there will definitely be accidents. So it is good that even in AI, there are ethics and there are principles that guide the effective and efficient use of AI, to the goal that it brings good, right, to everybody. Good. So AI is a very, very powerful technology. So now, what is ethics? Ethics refers to the principles that help us determine what is right, what is fair, what is responsible, and what is beneficial. So ethics help us guide our decisions and our actions to ask if this is fair, if this is honest, if this could harm someone, if you are using this responsibly. So in the same way, whenever you are using AI, these are the questions that you should ask yourself, because all of you here in the next 3 to 4 months, you are really, really going to be good in AI, right? So if you do not have strong values, you can decide to build an app that will, or build something that will threaten another person's existence, right? So it is good that during the first class of AI, we teach ethics to ensure that our students, because before you first of all give somebody power, you have to first of all educate them how to use power. That is why policemen are first of all trained before they are giving guns. You cannot just call people and then just give them guns. No, they first of all train you that this gun that you are holding is not to shoot anybody that you see on the road, right? This gun, this is only when you should use it. They are always holding it. You notice policemen are always holding their guns, but you don't see them just shooting at it or shooting every time. They hold it, and it is under certain situations that is the only time that they can cock and open fire. So that is the training that comes. So using AI comes with a lot of discipline, because with great power, see, you don't know what you can become until you have power in your hands. When you have power and you are now humble with the power, that is when you know that indeed you have discipline and you have inner strength. So what is AI ethics? AI ethics refer to the principles and guidelines that help ensure that AI is developed and used properly. Are we together? So let's look at some of the ethical challenges with AI. What are some of the ethical challenges with AI? Now, using AI is not perfect as some people may look at it. I have somebody that, I have a friend, and he was about, he had a wonderful relationship, let me put it that way. And then something happened one day, and something happened between him and his fiance. Okay, and his fiance, and he went to AI and started explaining and narrating everything that happened to AI. But one thing about people, when somebody is narrating an incident, they will usually narrate it in a way that shows them as the good person. You understand? So you are not going to be fair in your narration to show that, okay, I hit this person, but the reason why I hit this person is because, or let me say, for example, sorry, this person hit me, but you will not tell that. You will forget to say that the reason why this person hits you is because you first of all hit them, right? So you go to AI and then you give AI inaccurate information, and then AI gives you whatever you want to hear. So this guy went, met AI, typed everything that happened to AI, and then AI was like, really? Okay, because that AI it cannot feel what you are saying. It does not even understand what you are saying. All it knows is that give me information. When you give me information, I'll pick up this information, match it in my database, find the patterns that are consistent, and give you your feedback. That is all AI knows to do. So this guy went, said everything about the relationship, and then AI said, fine. AI put in his database and he said, this thing cannot work, just end this thing. And the guy just stood up and went and ended the relationship from an advice that AI gave him. Now that is you living, now you have left your human judgment to an AI. That means AI is now running your life. See, AI is not supposed, it's just supposed to be a tool that should help you enhance. It is not supposed to tell you how to think or what to think. You're the one that is supposed to guide it to think, right? So just imagine the way that guy went to meet AI and was, looking for relationship advice from the AI. Now, imagine that I'm a bad person now, and I am the owner of let's say I own ChatGPT, or let's say I invent a new AI, and let's say I call it Phronesis AI, for example. God forbid, this Phronesis AI will never be a bad one. But let's say, for example, Phronesis AI, and I am a bad person, right? So, and I decide that I want to use this Phronesis AI to destroy people. What I just need to do is I just need to program that AI in such a way that it will never give you a correct answer. It will always give you an answer that will lead you to evil. You know that AI is programmed. So in the hands of the wrong person, it will give you information that is not true. You can literally program AI and say, if anybody asks you for advice, make sure that you never give them the correct advice, because the person understands that a lot of people come to AI to ask for advice. So you just program the AI not to give correct advice, and people will make decisions based on that negative advice and then destroy their lives. You see why I said that AI can be good and it can also be a bad thing depending on the hands of the person that it's in. So AI has bias, right? Another ethical challenge with AI is privacy. A lot of people tell AI everything literally about their life. Now, imagine that you go to AI and this AI knows everything about your relationship, knows everything about your marriage, about your children, about your family, about your job. Do you know that if the people that own that AI are not people with strong ethical background, they can pick up that data. They can pick up that data and use it against you. That is why there are so many policies that are surrounding the privacy and use of AI. Because we sometimes personally as a person, I make sure that all my information are stored in just one language model. There are things that I can never discuss with ChatGPT and with a Claude, for example, right? There are things that I will never discuss with Claude or Gemini. I discuss them with ChatGPT. In fact, there are times that I have certain conversations with AI, and after that, I need to go back and delete it, right? Because I'm not really sure. I don't know who is behind the other side, you get. So you have to know the information that during your course of using AI, you have to really, 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 really be cautious of the information that you share with AI. And if you feel like that you have overshared and you have said something that you are not supposed to say, you can always go back. In the settings, there is a place where you can always delete some conversation. So you can always go back and delete it. But the reasons why I keep most of my conversations with AI is because when I'm working, I don't want to be telling the AI already knows a lot of things about the business and everything. So I don't want to start from scratch telling the AI what to do. But at any point, I can decide to take off my information. So don't give AI what you cannot tell your fellow human being, or what you cannot tell your best friend. Ensure not to tell it to AI. And even if you tell it to AI, make sure you delete it, right? Don't just leave it there with the hope that, okay, this thing, because you can never tell who is at the other side of it. Another ethical challenge is information. Have you ever used AI and the AI sounded very confident, as if this information that is giving you, like it knows what it's saying, right? It will sound like this thing that I'm telling you is like, I know what I'm saying, right? Until you spot something that is inaccurate, and then you ask the AI, are you sure about this? Then the AI will now start saying, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, right? So what I usually do is, when I'm doing deep research, I don't use one AI. I use like 3 AI. So I'll feed the information to, let's say I'm starting with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is always the way I start my ideas with. So let's say I start with ChatGPT and ChatGPT gives me the answer. What I will do is I will copy the answer from ChatGPT and then I'll take it to Claude. I'll now tell Claude, dear Claude, please proofread this, find the ideas that are not consistent, find the leaks, find the information that are not accurate, and then Claude will now look at it and then give me its response. Then I will take the response back to Gemini, and then Gemini will proofread it. So then I will now look at it. I will now know, okay, this is what to adjust, this is what not to adjust. So if you are using AI for very, very deep research work, don't just copy the first thing that it gives to you. Sometimes probe it, ask it difficult questions. Sometimes what I usually do is I will ask the AI, what were the principles that you observed to come up with this idea? This idea that you are giving to me now, what were the things that you looked at to be sure that this is the accurate answer? I want you to explain your thinking. Let me see. Down the line, we'll be teaching you about how to think, right? We'll be teaching you about thinking models and the rest, and you will understand it clearly. So I'll ask the AI to explain its thinking model, because you see, the way we think is based on a model. And if you understand the way a person thinks, it's easier to reprogram that thing, you get. So when I ask ChatGPT, explain your thinking model, and it explains it accurately, then I'll know that, okay, fine, this is based on, the logic is sound. then I can work with that idea. But if I found out that there is a crack in the logic, we have to start that work over again. So please read up on that. We have just about 9 minutes. I have a class with founders cohort in the next 9 minutes, because your class is 1 hour. I have a class with you 1 hour, and I have a class with them 1 hour. So let's just round up. I'm going to be dropping the notes with the class rep, so she's going to post it on the group, and then this class also will be uploaded on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch, you can always go back. So let's briefly discuss the future of AI. So what is the future of, like, what will AI look like in the future? Have you ever asked yourself that what will AI look like in the future? As a matter of fact, there are people that feel like, people usually ask me this question. They'll be like, will AI replace human beings? I think I should ask, one person should answer that question. Do you think that AI will replace human beings? Who can say something on that? Just give your opinion. I need 2 people to give their opinion. We have less than 8 minutes, so please just, who can say something?
My name is Mr. Peter. I don't think AI can replace human being
Okay, give us a reason.
because AI is AI and AI is AI and human is human. Human gives the information to AI to process over the time, and human also has the ability to also withhold information from AI. And I think with that, if humans withhold information from AI will be deficient in, informations and all that. I think that's what I think about it.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So when people usually ask me that, will will AI replace human beings, I used to ask them one question. Did calculators replace mathematicians? So whatever your answer is, then that is my answer. But as we all know it, calculators, as good as they are, they can give you answers in seconds, but they can never, ever, ever, ever replace mathematicians, right? So in the same way, AI cannot replace human beings. Now you want to ask again, will AI take our jobs? That's another very disturbing thing. People feel like AI will take their jobs. Now, that's why it's very, very good to study history. And in Phronesis here, we are a people that are really dedicated to knowledge, and you'll be doing a lot of studies in Phronesis. So be prepared to study, like there'll be a lot of studies and reading that when you are done, during your stay here in Phronesis, you'll come out a different human being. Now, if you study history, you notice now, let's say for example, people used to when there were no tractors, people used to use hoes, right? And there were people that used to, let's say for example, they had people that used to work in farms, right? They had people that used to work in farms, so they will call you people, bring you to the farm, all of you will work, and then they will pay you. But when tractors came, those people were no longer needed. But the people that I know, they needed to, like, see, the way if AI comes, AI will definitely remove some jobs because it's going to automate a lot of things. But in that same way, it is going to create opportunity for new things to come. Let's say, for example, prior to now, I gave you an example that human beings, that for you to send, for you to read, for you to communicate with somebody in the US, you need to write a letter and then take it to the post office. Then they will put it in the ship, send it to the US, and then bring it back for you in like 6 months. Then internet came, and people could now make phone calls just in seconds. You can reach somebody there, discuss what you want to discuss, and in 1 minute you are done. So internet squeezed together 6 months to 1 minute. Now, let's say you were the owner of that mail office. Let's say you were the one that owned the mail business of shipping people's letters, and now internet came. You have 2 options. You can either sit down and cry and say, "Oh, internet has taken my work. Oh, how will I feel?" Or you can change the way you look at the situation and find the opportunity. So you can start asking yourself, "Oh, how can I get into this new mode of communication? Maybe I can even if I cannot build a company, maybe I can own stocks in a company that is growing." So the major thing is always to find opportunities, always find opportunities. And this is what I want to tell you today, and this is one of the things that you should be living here with today. There is no such thing as a problem. Problems don't exist, right? It depends on how you interpret it. Something can happen to two people, and the two of them will describe that same thing differently. Let's say, for example, me and you, we have a business standing side by side, and one day we come in the morning, fire has burnt it. The other person will be like, fire has destroyed my business. Where do I start from? And then I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, wow, and this is an opportunity to build a greater business. So you see that meanings are not in the things that we see. Meanings live in people. So if you program yourself to see every issue that comes to your life as an opportunity, and that's how I program myself. Everything that happens to me is an opportunity to become better, and that is how you should see things. So even with AI today, AI cannot see, if you build yourself, AI cannot replace you, right? Your work now is to sit down. Don't try to do things that AI can replace. For example, don't go and go maybe call center agents. AI will take that job from you. Rather, you can decide and say, okay, let me build a platform for call center agents where companies can come and pay, and then we'll set up a call center agents for them. In that way, you have secured your spot in AI. So you know that you are the one that is using the tool. It is you now that will now collect the work from other call center agents, right? So AI is not going to steal anybody's job. It is the people that know how to use AI that will take the jobs. So let's say that all of us, we come together now, and then we build a platform that can automate call centers for big brands. So all they just need to do is consult us and say, we want to set up a call center agent. This is what we do. We collect their information and then we set it up for them. So whether they are sleeping or they are awake, if somebody calls their company, the AI will be there to pick up the call and talk to them, discuss everything, onboard the clients, then take the information that is needed and send it back to the company, and the company will review it and know what they want to do with the data. So you see that what we did there is we have just, maybe this is even an idea that we should work on. Maybe God is just putting this one in our head during the class. So you see that what did we do? We did not say that, AI has come, AI has done this. What we did is we found an opportunity to infuse ourselves, and that is how you should be thinking throughout this class. All you should be asking yourself is, what opportunities are there for me in AI? What is that thing that I can do, right, that will position me in such a way that in the next 3 to 5 years, I can build a brand that is strong and, it cannot be shaken. So that is it for the end of this class. We have just 1 minute. So ask your questions. Ask your questions, please. I have a class with founders cohorts by 9 o'clock, and it's 8:59 now. So any questions so far? Is there any questions so far? How was the class? Did you understand everything that was said? Is there a question? You guys should drop your comments, please.
Hi, my name is Ayomiku. I understand everything you said, but my question is AI can't take the place of human. But nowadays, why is it that many people they now rely on AI to do all their daily activities?
Okay, so people that rely on AI to do all their daily activities, there are people that do not really understand the effective use of AI. We have just 2 minutes before this call will end. So after this explanation, we'll probably go off. So those people don't really understand how to use AI effectively. Do you know that if you depend on a tool to think for you, do you know what will happen to you with time? You will become a dullard. Because when you are not using something, if you leave your house for 1 month and come back, you will see cobwebs. Anytime something is not being used, do you know what it does to you? You will start coming down, right? Because you are not just going to remain there. It's either life is like this. It's either you are going down or you are going up. So when you stop using your mind to process things, to think, what you are doing to yourself is that you are doing more harm to yourself. Because one day you wake up and you find out that you can't even process normal things because you've been depending on AI. And one thing about AI is that for you to even use the AI itself, you need to be smart. So you get to a point that even the AI will outsmart you. So people that are using AI to do all their work are people that don't understand AI.